Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Lead Up for Women, Speak Up to Lead Up. I am your host, Colleen Biggs, and today's episode is brought to you by our sponsor, Turning Leaves Recovery. Addictions, negative attachments, and habits that hold us hostage are all seated in a pressure to perform and a resilience on something outside of ourselves to provide peace, joy, comfort, relief, value, validity, and worthiness. Tricia Peridot, owner and creator of Turning Leaves Recovery Life and Wellness Coaching, is an industry thought leader, recovery lifestyle enthusiast, transformational speaker, effective life skill breather, and a fierce optimist who loves to help change lives. Her passion is to make life better for the people seeking life recovery, equipping them with the right life skills and helping them set the right aspirations so they can live life and live it freely in one amazing personal journey. View her coaching course, bundle programs, and much more at turningleavesrecovery.com. And we will have all of that information for you at your fingertips. And don't forget that all of the resources from Lead Up for Women, our memberships, availability, and all of our events coming up are available to you at leadupforwomen.com. And you can follow us on all social media platforms at Lead Up for Women. So give us a follow because dang it, we like you. So I am so excited about today's topic. Why? Because I am an active participant in my life, but I wasn't always an active participant in my life, like many of you know. And so we're going to find out from Sabine Gedeon, today our guest, how she became an active participant in her life and now assist others to become an active participant in theirs. So let me tell you a little bit about her, and then we'll bring her onto the show. Sabine Gedeon is the founder and CEO of Gedeon Enterprises, a coaching and consulting company dedicated to elevating, enriching, and empowering leaders to become the best version of themselves. Sound familiar to anyone out there? She's been a business partner and leader strategist for over 15 years, supporting emerging and seasoned leaders in growing their confidence, teams, and impact. Growing their impact, that is so huge. She's an author. We love authors on this show. Her book is Transformed: The Journey to Becoming and President and founder of She Leads Network, a network for impact-driven women in leadership, focusing on transforming the way women work, lead, and do business together. I'm super excited to have you here today, Sabine. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Colleen. I am thrilled and honored to be here as well.
So you had to have gotten on this path, just like I got on this path. This path generally is there for you to get on, but it's not necessarily, I would say, the path that we came out of, the womb on. So it's things happen in our lives, right? Yeah. So what was a turning point for you? Tell my listeners, let us get into the juicy of Sabine. Tell us a little bit about you and how you became the fierce leader you are today.
Yeah, well, I don't know about fierce leader, but she's trying to get there. So I'll skip the warm hot day on an island in 1982 part, and get to really where the story of who I am today starts. And that's really back in 2007, 2008. I hit rock bottom. And by rock bottom, I mean like total depression, suicidal, to the point where I had planned my last day. And in I guess a moment of desperation and anger, really, I cried out to God. And at that moment, I had an experience, a supernatural experience with God. And two questions that I asked him in that moment were, one, show me that you're real, and two, reveal to me what my purpose is. And as a result of that supernatural experience, I woke up off the floor the next morning with a determination, one, to stay, and then two, to identify what my purpose is. And that has been the driving force for now, the last 14 years or so of me moving forward and me being intentional about life and being an active participant, because that night still sticks with me, of that moment of hopelessness, that now I'm driving towards the thing that I was created to do and to be here on earth.
Yeah. And I think that you must recognize that you weren't the only one that struggled with really participating, being active and participating in your life and being on the path to serving others. I find, and the reason why I Lead Up for Women exists was that many women are struggling to find their way and their purpose and what it is that they're on this earth to be doing, and they feel the pull but they're not necessarily sure. And you aren't the first one that I've interviewed. I've had a panel member that I interviewed, I remember in Georgia in 2019 when we were doing luncheons live. And she said same thing. She was on the floor in the bathroom with a gun, and her children were in the other room. And she said the same thing. God, I need you to show me that you're real, and I need you to tell me why I'm here.
Yeah.
Because we just get to a point where we feel hopeless, helpless, and we don't know what the reason is. What's the reason I'm here? What am I supposed to do? So tell us about you go from being helpless, being hopeless, to waking up determined. And then where do you go from there? Because you can wake up determined, but then the next big question is, but then what do you do with
Yeah.
that determination?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And I think the if I can look back and based on people that I've worked with and even now in my experiences, part of that what led to that was that lack of identity. And you see that, with women and not in a negative way, but so often we identify with the roles we play, we identify with the titles, we identify with all of the things that we are and that we show up for each other, like, for other people. And it creates that gap or that absence of really understanding, like, wait, who am I? Who am I when I'm not a mom? Who am I when I'm not a wife? Who am I when I'm not a CEO of a business or whatever the case may be? And so for me, at least personally, I've uncovered that identity is such a huge part in one keeping me focused, because it's so easy. You're an entrepreneur too, it's so easy to get lost in the thing, right, in the doing. And I have to find myself coming back to that place of who am I and who am I being in the moment. That's what keeps me grounded. That's what keeps me anchored in purpose, in helping others, in creating the impact.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is so crucial to stay grounded in that and remembering who we are, because it happened to me. And that was really when I had to go through another growth in my life, which was when my children all moved out and they were living on their own. And that was a grieving moment for me because I had identified so many years as a mom. And then I thought, well, they don't need me anymore, but it's so not true. They need Colleen, they need their mom to teach them by modeling. And that is one of the biggest things about giving ourselves permission to be who we are authentically in everything that's great and not great, and showing up no matter what, transparent, because then we give others around us permission to do the same without judgment.
Right.
Right. And your children model you more than they listen to you, because we all know that's the truth. So talk to me a little bit about the leadership skills that you work with your clients. What are some golden nuggets that the listeners can learn today from you about your leadership skills that you have and that you teach? These are
Yeah.
these are the nuggets we like to take away, right?
Yeah. First and foremost, mom with kids. I'm looking at Colleen and I'm like, oh, we're about the same age, but like mom with kids who are
No.
grown. Whatever
Do you
you're
want
doing,
do you
keep
want me to
doing
blow
it.
your mind even more? I will, because my listeners know this, but I have 11 grandkids and the 12th one is on the way. So, yes, this is not blonde hair, this is gray hair. So I tell everybody that, yes. So I am not a spring chicken anymore, but we're only as old as we feel. And I feel younger than I did 20 years ago, honestly, because I'm so happy and I'm so fulfilled with being myself, and it's so freeing, and I love life every day because I choose my choices to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And if I choose to work 10 hours, it's because I freaking love it. And then if I choose to go to Cancun like I'm going, I choose to take a week vacation off, right? So, yeah, I just, leadership is so important. And if we don't emerge as leaders, then, and that's for every person, especially women, if we're not emerging as leaders, then we're letting people around us down because someone is praying for you right now that you show up for them. So, talk.
Yeah. And so you brought a really great point, right? So from a leadership skills perspective, we all know that there's a slew of leadership books out there, right? And leadership gurus around business acumen and executive presence and all of these formal things that I think are absolutely important skills for you to build on. But I think essentially the messages that aren't as broadly distributed is that we all have leadership capability. I truly believe that it is an innate ability that each and every one of us possesses, but where our sphere of influence for that leadership may be a little different. And I think in this time and
Oh, we just lost Sabine for just a minute.
part of the
Okay.
PTA.
We lost you for
Ooh,
just a second. That's okay. I think there just might be some
okay,
instability
I'm
there
sorry.
on the Wi-Fi. That's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so when you think about what we do, right? We're leading in every capacity, regardless of the title. We're leading in our homes. We're leading in our marriages. We're leading our children. We're leading in our community, right? Like leadership is not a title; it's an identity, and we all bear that particular identity. And so, my focus when it comes to leadership development and building leadership skills. The tactical stuff, right? The practical stuff, yes, I teach that, but it's at the core of who you are. Because one, if you're not clear on who you are, if you're not showing up your authentic self, if you're not clear on the vision of where you're taking your life or wherever you're taking your project or your business, it's hard to communicate that to someone else who is supporting you. It's hard to devise a plan, right? So for me, I start with, that inner person, helping you one, uncover we all have leaders, or we all are leaders. And then two, helping you to build your confidence from that space of understanding that I am a leader. It is a natural ability. And my vision, my aspirations, whatever it is out there, this is how I communicate it to others. I think the other piece that, is huge here is that oftentimes, and you mentioned it with your children, right? That you're modeling, even if you don't recognize it. That's the same thing as leading, right? Regardless of whether or not you have a title, someone is watching you, someone is observing, someone is taking their cue from you. So being cautious of what baggage am I carrying? What insecurities am I projecting out there? What issues do I have and dealing with those so that one, you don't end up, accidentally modeling the wrong behavior or allowing your insecurities or your challenges or your issues to basically bleed on other people and cause them to start to behave the same way. So it's
Yeah.
very, I believe leadership is an internal game. And until you get like whole and clear inside of you, whatever you put out there, yeah, you'll influence, but it may not be the level of influence that you want or that you're really truly capable of.
Absolutely. And don't sit around and wait for a title because titles don't mean anything. Just like Sabine, everyone knows I come from the corporate world. Sabine, how long were you in the corporate world?
15 total.
Yeah, so I was there for 30 years. And we know the difference, when you can be a leader, and I was a leader in the corporate world. I was a leader for all of my clients that I worked with. I was a leader for other people in the office. I was a leader for the children, in the businesses that I worked with. I was a leader to so many people with or without a title. And so many of us think that these titles are so important. I remember putting I had a quote that was put on one of my friend's books that made like a New York bestseller. And I had put that I was the chief inspiration officer of Lead Up for Women. And I remember a comment because the book had, gotten so big the comment from someone had said, well, it would probably would have been better if you would have put that you were the founder or the chief executive officer. People would have taken you more serious. And I said, I am the inspiration officer for Lead Up. I am the owner of Lead Up. I run Lead Up. I am the everything behind Lead Up. I am the founder of Lead Up. So I would rather be the chief inspiration officer to inspire people than to be the executive officer, because it just sounds so boring to me. And maybe it's because I'm coming from corporate, but the beautiful thing about leading your own life, like Sabine is saying, is you get to make the choices that you want to make in your life, regardless of what anyone else thinks, wants, or cares about, or judges on you. You get to lead that life. You get to lead that life that you're actively participating in, loving to actively participate in. And trust me, ladies, it's so freeing when you decide to let go of the wants and needs and what everyone else tends to put on you or think that you are or judge you or say about you, good or bad. When you are so confident in yourself and do the inner work, then it's so much easier in life. And those titles don't matter anymore. I mean, tell us about a time in your life, Sabine, when you went from corporate to being an entrepreneur. What was a big shift for you that happened in your life that you realized, besides, the hitting rock bottom? What was another time in your life where you just realized, like, life is so great because I'm fully participating?
Yeah, and making that leap from full-time or corporate to entrepreneurship was just that. Except it was a little twist, right? Making that leap, no matter how much you prepare for it, no matter how much you think, all right, I got this, like it's still a leap. Like there is a little bit of free falling, but the good part there's a soft landing there. What I found the most interesting during that time of transition was not my confidence in my ability to coach or anything like that, but it was all of the crap that started to come up, right? When you are in that space and you are it's literally transitioning to a different identity. I guess that's the best way to describe it. Like you don't just wake up one day and you're an entrepreneur. It's a journey of becoming that. And for me, as someone who is type A, high achiever, like, rewards, recognition, all of that stuff, when I transitioned, there was no rewards or recognitions. Like you put programs out and sometimes there were crickets, right? To be quite honest. And there was a lot of insecurities apparently that I had been carrying, a lot of mindset, a lot of poor money beliefs. It was this series of things that were like every time I felt like I reached a pinnacle, there was a part of me, an old part of me that had shown up to say, hey, I'm still here. And I had the choice at that moment, deal with this or try to carry it with me and continue to, fail or not produce the results that I wanted. So I think a huge piece whenever we're transitioning into something is be aware that there are parts of our thinking, parts of our being that we're going to have to make a conscious decision to let go of. And that's that inner work that you were talking about, and not being swayed or not being afraid when that fear shows up or that doubt shows up or that insecurity shows up. It's just a trigger to say, hey, I'm here and I'm giving you the space to do something with it. I think, in terms of just the more that I've worked with entrepreneurial women, I feel like we all go through the same process. I don't know how males do it, but if you're not in entrepreneurship and you're in corporate America, it's the same thing. There's a lot of deprogramming, I guess is the best way that I can put it, that needs to happen in order to fully successfully own. One of the things I'm going to say this out loud. I'm turning 40 in a few months, and
I'm laughing because I felt the same way when I turned 40. It was so hard to say 30, it was so hard to say 40, and now I'm just like, whatever.
yeah. And so I remember when I was younger, my aunt turned 40 and she was like, Sabine, it's something about turning 40 where you just come into yourself, right? You don't care about, what people think. Like you are clearly who you are. And luckily for me, I think this entrepreneurial path kind of sped that up. But I think that that's the beauty of really leaning into who you are, all of you, the good, the bad, your attitude, your moods, your whatever, your impatience, whatever the piece is, because that's the beauty of what makes you you, and that's the thing that attracts people. We're not attracted to perfect people. If anything, we're intimidated by perfect people. So being able to step in and say, "Hey, this is me. I'm imperfect." That is so much more relatable. That is so much more inviting to other people. And believe it or not, like you'll get a lot further when you just show up as yourself than trying to be someone else.
Amen, sister. That is all the truth. People don't want the perfect you, they just want you. There's a reason why reality TV is like a, billion-dollar television series, because people want to just get a glimpse in of other people's lives. It's very interesting as humans that we're like that. But the more you show up as you, the more memorable you become,
Mhm.
because so many other people are really just kind of showing up as what they think everyone wants to see. And I don't anymore. But I'm glad that Sabine said that, there's a transition we all go through. So if someone is seeing me 3 or 4 years past corporate America, you're seeing someone who's done a lot of work, cried a lot, felt a lot of unworthiness. When I left corporate, I felt that my worth was tied to what I made because I was paid what I was worth. That's what I was told. The value that I brought to the company was what I was paid. And so, if the value of what you're paid, and then you come out to the entrepreneurial world and you're making $0, your value and worth is $0. That is really hard to overcome as an individual. For me, it was, because it was like, wow, I never realized at one millisecond that I felt my worth was tied to how much money I made. So it's like refinding yourself, and a lot of tears, a lot of growth, a lot of mistakes. I look back at my speaking then, I look back at my podcast then. It's like, wow, that is hilarious. Like, and I even thought I was being myself then, right? You really grow into yourself the more that you practice it. So
Mhm.
it's not something that just happens overnight. Like Sabine and I are saying, you really have to model and practice it on a regular basis, and get a tribe of people, right? Get a community, get a tribe of people around you. It's why I created one, of people that want to be around you, that love to be around you, that celebrate you for exactly who you are, that don't judge, that, are supporting and fueling you, and are going to be there when you need the extra strength, and is going to be there to celebrate you when you win, and not feel, scared or competition or any of that, right? But is there to fuel you. I think that's important. And, I know that you've built a community around you, Sabine, from everything that you do. And I just want to say congratulations for taking that leap. It's a huge leap. And by the way, she said, you do land softly. So you're not going to fall flat on your face and never be able to get up. I promise you that. But you just then get to make the choices. What do you want to do with your time? And what do you want to do with your skills? And what do you want to do with all the talents that God has given you? This is your chance to go out there and live your purpose. And what are you
Yeah.
going to do with that? Are you going to stay small in the shadows and shy back? Or are you really going to participate in your business, in your life, in your relationships, in your family, in your friends, and make it the best it can be? That way, if you die tomorrow, you die with no regrets. That's
Yeah.
really all we've got.
Yeah. And a couple things that you said that sparked for me, one of the biggest pieces in the transition, right? Especially when you're in corporate, you have a job, right? Like you may have like multiple skills, but like you have one thing that they expect you to focus on. And I think the amazing, eye-opening piece of entrepreneurship has been for me discovering all of the parts of me, right? I would have never thought of myself as a creative person 3 or 4 years ago, or a strategic person or a problem solver. Like all of the things, all of these things that were already inside of me, and to an extent, I was already demonstrating the level of confidence being in this space, like having to do and having to figure out. Like it's been amazing to discover all of me through this process. And I think another key piece, for those who are transitioning in this space, and it's just part of being a leader too, being comfortable with asking for what you want and what you need. As you just mentioned, right? You've built this community of women, this community of supporters, leveraging our networks. Like when we are in that space to ask. I think that was again, another lesson for me was there was a sense of having to ask for help was a sign of weakness. And so once you let that go, you see the amazingness of how willing people are, people are willing to help you. People are willing to support you. And so I do think that there's just, I always use the caterpillar to the butterfly. Like it really is an emerging experience when you're stepping into that pace. And even if you've been an entrepreneur a while, you know that once you're ready to get to the next level, it's that whole process all over again.
Mhm.
So, definitely would encourage those who are in that space, thinking about that space, surround yourself, right? Surround yourself with a powerful network, and then be okay with asking, be okay with not knowing the answer, be okay with being a learner, so that you can get what you need, so that you can grow in the capacity that you need to again, impact others.
Yeah, I think Sabine and I are sisters from, another mother or
We
whatever,
are.
because we're so alike. And I love that because your network is your net worth. And if you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You need to constantly be learning in this world and never say that I know or I don't need to do that because I already know. No, you need to constantly be learning. You want to be rich, hang out with people that are rich. You want to build a community, hang out with people that build communities. You want to be a speaker, hang out with people that are speakers.
Yeah.
Learn from those that have already done it before you and don't reinvent the wheel. And I see so many women trying to reinvent the wheel and do it on their own. If you don't ask, you don't get. I think we even did a podcast on that. If you don't ask, you don't get. And I'm glad you brought that up because these are bunch of golden nuggets for all of you today to be writing down, to be reminded of. If something is resonating with you today, it's because you needed to hear it. So pay attention and just take one thing from today and go and apply it to your life. So Sabine, I know my listeners are going to want to get your mindset reset guide that you've got available and a few other things. So talk to us about how we can reach out to you. How can they start following you in your community online, on social media? What is the best way?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you. Two places that I hang out the most would be LinkedIn, believe it or not, LinkedIn and Instagram. And so my handle on both of them are Sabine Gedeon. On LinkedIn, it's in/Sabine Gedeon. On Instagram, it's Sabine Gedeon fully. Not as active on Facebook, but I do connect with people on there and respond to questions. And so if you need any assistance, again, ask. Please don't hesitate to ask. Please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm very passionate about advancing leaders, emerging leaders, and women in particular, because I do believe that if anything, 2020 has showed us like this is our time, like this is our space, and this is our time. So anything I can do to support, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, thank you, Sabine, so much for being on the show today. And ladies, really, this is the time for you to be an active participant in your life. And I want you to kind of just do a check in real quick. Are you being an active participant in your life? If the answer to that is no, fix it because no one's coming to fix it for you. You have the permission to fix it yourself. And we have a choice. You either live the life you've been living every single day and complain or whatever it is that you're doing that you don't like it, or change it. There are no outside influences that can stop you. Everything is figure outable. Marie Forleo tells us that all the time. Everything is figure outable. So go figure it out and utilize people like Sabine and our Lead Up for Women organization and our podcast and all the other podcasts and, that are out there that are teaching you every day for free how to be a best emerging leader possible. And Sabine has a free resource for us, the Mindset Reset Guide. So get out there. The mindset is the number one thing that will create your success or will create your demise. Your mindset will be the one thing that does that. It is your mind is the motherboard of everything. It is the most powerful thing. It will make you sick. It will heal you. It will create the success and it'll create poverty. So, what is your mindset today? And if it's not right, go get that resource guide. Go help yourself and reset your mindset because you're the only you that's ever been. You're the only you that will ever be. So, how you navigate this future and this life of yours, it's up to you. Participate or not, it's still going to happen. And there is an end. So make it the best it can possibly be. So, ladies, until next week, thank you, Sabine, for joining us today.
Thank
Be
you,
you and be
Colleen.
strong, and we'll see you later. Bye bye for now. Bye, everyone.